Well, you wouldn't read about it, but you might hear about it because it's a podcast and it's audio.
Correct.
We're back, and it is a podcast called The Hammer Bun Project, where we talk about Bluey, because Bluey's a really good show, and you know that by now. There's no guessing. There's no secrets between us, listeners. We're out there. You're here. We're here. Frank's here.
I'm here. This is Frank.
Martin's here.
I am also here.
And have I said my name? Nah, it's Brendan.
It's Brendan.
And just side note.
This episode of the Hammer Bun Project is called Alpha Male.
How are you? How are you guys?
Good.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Is that keeping on brand?
yeah, that's as succinct as I ever am.
I'm thinking I'm going to have to start, it's going to have to be a segment now, which is like Naomi explains episodes of Bluey and having to guess what they are.
Oh, Naomi explains.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Nice.
That's right. Anyway,
there should be a segment intro for that. Actually, can you do it now, Martin? Just give us a
Naomi explains. It was the end of season 2, or better yet, season, but not the without the thing. Okay, what is that? I don't even know. The green towel? No, it's okay. Just eat the popcorn. Find it now for Naomi.
or something, and then I'll put it at the front.
Okay, here we go. All right.
Oh yeah,
Panda puzzle.
That is promises.
Yes. Well done. Oh, I got it. Very good. So,
Panda puzzle? What?
okay, no, okay, I got
him.
another one for you, Frank. Here's one for
All
you.
right.
The pool
I'll buzz in if
one.
you can't get it.
The pool one, but not seahorse.
The swimming lesson one.
Yes. Well done.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
Well, because they're a seahorse. Are they the Sinkies? Are the
The
Sinkies
Sinkies,
seahorses?
that's
right.
And
Right.
it comes,
in the
and
pool.
it's the
Yeah.
title card piece.
Right.
So yes,
right.
they've been getting increasingly
Swim school. That's the name of it.
swim school. That's it with Karen and etc. Anyway,
There should be a segment intro for that. Actually, can you do it now, Martin? Just give us a Naomi explains or something, and then I'll put it at the front.
okay.
I can feel the tension is real.
But yeah, so I've been watching Bluey at the behest of my child. So
Nice.
that's good.
Yep.
But yeah, apart from that, ticking along, doing the usual.
Well, I've been delivering the mail
Oh,
because that's my job.
Yeah, we're not talking about that today.
how is that relevant to what we're about to discuss?
I
Yeah.
don't know, Frank. Why don't you tell us?
This episode of Bluey is called Postman. Oh, I see.
Yeah, you see what I was
Ah.
doing? I was being relevant. I can understand how that's surprising for you. And it's interesting that we should be doing the Postman episode because we thought, wouldn't this be a great opportunity to talk about post and mail and the things that our listeners have sent us?
We have listeners.
So before we throw it to Marty to talk, we've got listeners. So before we throw it to, I'm surprised as you are. Before we throw it to Marty to give us his, usual bare bones of the episode, we have received, a few items from people who listen, and they've all been lovely humans, and we're really, really grateful for you reaching out.
Or potentially dog humans. We're not sure.
Or potentially dog humans.
Hard to
We
tell
don't
over the internet.
discriminate. It's all good.
To clarify, these are not handwritten letters, so these are electronic
Mhm.
forms of communication.
I think before we start talking about them, though, Brendan has to put in the sound effect of somebody rustling all around in a very large bag of paper thing.
Yeah.
To make it sound like we've got heaps of them.
What should be the title for this? Because we're going to want to revisit this segment.
Sure. So we need a segment name.
and we should say, if any listeners are listening and they would like to reach out, please do.
What's our email address, Brendan?
Our email is. I don't actually know because we don't put that in the end, do we?
Wizard of Oz.
Just gets inserted afterwards.
Our email address is hammerbunproject@gmail.com.
No, hang on. He does say that, doesn't he?
Yep.
Is that in
Josh
the end?
says that every single episode.
I don't know if it's in there. We'll find out at the end of the episode. It should be, but please, what is it? Hammerbun.
hammerbunproject@gmail.com.
email us, guys.
Yes.
And we'll make this a regular segment.
So what are we calling it though? Chase the mailman, or
I was
dog
thinking
suit?
like, what are all the good postal dog tropes, like beware the dog or secure your pets?
Ooh.
Or I was thinking checking our inbox.
That's the worst one. So yeah, it's got to be
yeah,
that.
definitely. We'll go with the rest. There it is.
Checking our inbox.
Let's Frank, would you
I
like
can't bring myself to say it with a straight face. Checking our inbox. Woo. All right.
checking our inbox?
Time to check the inbox.
Let's check the inbox.
Marty, take it away with our first one.
Okay, this is one. So we're a little bit guilty here, actually. This one's been sitting around for a while.
Oh boy, sorry, Sandy.
So this one's from Sandy M. Thank you, Sandy. You sent us a message back in February, and I think Frank did respond to you and said, but we might address it in the podcast in a bit. This is in a bit. But thank you for your asking.
This is in one metric bit.
We're sorry. We apologize, but
it does not diminish at all our appreciation that you
were
would
the
reach
first.
out.
Sandy was our first ever piece
Sandy,
of correspondence.
yes.
Thank you, Sandy.
So,
Numero uno.
Sandy asked which dog breeds we are. And I think, Frank, you put up for the first picture, it was a Rusty, Jack and Mackenzie picture. And they were like, is that who you'd think? And you told them, like, well, we've met so many more characters since then. Maybe it's changed. And Frank might, or whoever's going to talk about our last bit of male-related stuff might. talk
Yes,
about
that
the
will,
most recent
that will come
update.
back around later on when we open another letter.
But yes, thank you very much, Sandy. We do appreciate you reaching out to us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I don't even remember which one I was. I think Martin, I always pictured you as Mackenzie in that trio. Is that right? I know that Mackenzie has gone on to become one of your favourites, Marty, because of certain episodes that won't be mentioned yet. Oh, he was rolling up.
But yeah, look, I put that image together. What the image Marty's talking about is the cover art for our first ever episode before we'd sort of established a style, and it was those three, Rusty, Jack and Mackenzie. And look, I deliberately strayed away from the Fab Four of the healers and wanted to go a little bit left of the middle, which is what we consider ourselves as a show, I think it's fair to say.
100%.
Jack, obviously I'm a little bit biased in that's my son's name. Rusty, a bit of a fan favourite amongst all of us. And Mackenzie, because New Zealanders are awesome.
Yeah.
So I must admit, Sandy, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it. To your point, Brendan, in the back of my mind, I probably did have Marty pegged as Mackenzie, and then Rusty and Jack, I never really settled on whether that was, you or me.
Interchangeable. So. They're all legends.
Yeah.
And so are we. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, we're so legendary. It took us 6 months to reply to poor Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
All right, this next one looks like it's got your name all over it, Brenny.
Well, I did actually look into this. So we did receive a lovely email from a beautiful human, Giacomo. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Giacomo. But Giacomo mentioned a few things, and one thing in particular they noticed was that in the army episode, and they put it in beautiful writing, after the bit where, and we've already talked about this.
We have. So no newspapers. Yep, you're safe.
But there's after the dust off, and they get picked up by the helicopter, inverted commas, which is the treehouse.
Yep.
And they're there and they're laughing. It cuts to like a shot of the field and the wind blowing across the field. Yep. And Giacomo mentioned that they thought maybe there was a little musical sting that winked to the Buffalo Springfield song "For What It's Worth," which is that boom, boom, there's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. We'll stop and watch that sound. Everybody look what's going. Which is associated because it's I think it was 66, 7 or something. I'll edit that if it's wrong. But
67,
66, 67, 68, 69. But it's linked to the Vietnam War era, and it's used in Forrest Gump, as Giacomo mentioned, and it's sort of very Vietnam War specific, and a dust off, as we learnt from our friend Jesse, that a dust off is a very Vietnam specific bit of war terminology, and and I I'm ashamed to say that I didn't notice what Giacomo is suggesting, that there's a little guitar bit and it's very subtle, but I watched it today and it's unmistakable.
You think he's on the money?
I tell you what, Giacomo, you have got a set of ears on you because it's it's classic Joff Bush because, I mean, he's a genius.
Absolutely.
But it's unmistakable. It's like, I think it's like a guitar, it might even be like a harmonic, which, you know, if I start explaining guitar
we haven't got
harmonics.
time for that.
No. And then there's a little bit of tremolo or vibrato on it. And it just it's like perfect. And I take my hat off to you, Giacomo. And thank you very much for your kind email. And everybody watch Army, get to that bit and listen and be thrown back into all those war films you saw that used that very famous and popular song.
And Giacomo does apologise for his very bad English. Mate, I've got to say, you've got better English than some English teachers I know. So you've done incredibly well there. I do have to be a little sidebar to all of this. I do have to be a little bit careful. The fact that I do a Bluey podcast has now gotten around my workplace. And I've had multiple teachers come up to me just almost randomly and just go, "Oh, I've started listening to your show." And I was like, "Oh, so the bit where I talk about you throw some shade at teachers better get edited out real fast." But that's another story. They'll take it in good humour, I'm sure. All right, so one last shout out. This was actually a good friend of ours, Casey, a good friend of mine. Back when we did our review of the episode titled Perfect, which was the Father's Day episode, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I made a reference, or I said a line to the effect of, "I'm sure there's no crossover between Toy Power and Hammer Barn." Casey proved me wrong. Casey is actually a long-time listener of Toy Power. He's a Patreon of ours, but he didn't find it organically through me. He was actually also listening. He as a child about the same age as Jack, and he was listening to the Gotta Be Done ladies.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, he gets to the crossover episode we did with them, and he goes, "I know one of those voices. What's going on here? Frank has another podcast?"
That's great.
So what you're saying, Frank, is you don't mention your Bluey podcast on Toy Power. Is that basically what you're saying?
Is that just...
maybe not on the show specifically,
but Marty, we in glass houses should not throw stones because here we are using Toy Power's equipment.
Yeah, well, we're funded by Toy Power.
Everybody check out Toy Power. It's an excellent podcast about excellent things.
Good sound quality.
So yeah, shout out to you, Casey. Thanks for getting on board both my shows. You seem to be my biggest fan.
That's the most wonderful Adelaide podcast moment. Just finding someone you know through a completely different path and just going, how many podcasts is this guy on? You're a big fish.
So the very last shout out we have is to an artist on Twitter. If you are on Twitter and you'll follow the various Bluey hashtags and stuff, you might be familiar with someone who goes by the name of Ragman.
Oh boy.
Raigmann. He or she, I don't honestly know, to be completely fair. They do a lot of great art. They're an artist, basically, and they, I believe, take commissions for people say, "Hey, here's a picture of my actual family. Draw them in the Bluey style." And, he takes the sort of basic sort of features of the person and draws them as if they're part of the show. So when he, reached out to us over Twitter and said, "Gentlemen, what breed of dog would each of you be?"
A little shout back to you, Sandy.
That's right. He knew what was going on. So I replied, I think now this one we can be a little bit more specific. I believe I said something to the effect of I was a Labrador. Brenny was an Australian Shepherd.
I said Australian Shepherd. I don't know much about their nature, but I just love the look of them. And they're beautiful. And I'm so glad I did because of reasons I'll get to.
Yep. And Marty was
I was a Dalmatian.
Dalmatian, right. So naturally, having seen Ragman's work, I was like, oh, here it comes. And they've sent through a thing going, "Hey, what do you think of this? Work in progress." And what was clearly the three of us in dog form sitting on a couch that had still yet to be drawn in.
Lordy Lou.
This is a person from the other side of the world who has never seen us. We don't do a lot of sort of visual posting of our faces and stuff on the internet. So the likenesses were absolutely incredible considering all they've ever done is listen to us, not actually see us in the flesh. So But that's only half the story.
Now, right. So, Australian Shepherds, just quickly, they've got a little bit of ginger in them somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I've shaved now, but at the time I had a big old bushy beard.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't have a small head. I'll say that for you now, listeners. I had this big old head with this big old beard, and it was this weird shape. And I don't know how this happened, but Ragman. I'm so sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, but holy moly, dude. You nailed the shape of my head. and I
the
don't
big
know how.
Rusty,
Yeah.
sort of shagginess.
The moment I saw it, I just thought, I am so glad that I said Australian Shepherd just because I think they sound cool, they look cool, they're beautiful. I love, border collies and coolies and kelpies and that sort of, Australian cattle dog. And my word, this was... it's just me.
And can we talk about Marty's caricature for a second? Go for it, mate.
Oh, the fact that I'm wearing an apron, which is
Okay.
when we used to work together at a retail store.
Martin and I used to work at Howard's Storage World in the T2 Plaza before which has long since gone the way of the dodo.
Place for everything.
A place for everything. I was singing the theme song today, actually.
Howard's had its own theme song.
Howard's Storage World, a place for everything. Howard's, if you need a place to store it away, feels like you're losing space every day. You can get it solved today at Howard's Storage World. Howard's Storage World, for all your storage needs around the home. And then it repeats.
Wow.
Dave Strutton, my old boss, that's some free advertising for you, mate. Get down to Howard's Storage World at the Mile End Homemaker Centre, just off James Congdon Drive.
Woof.
Yeah. Anyway, I used to wear an apron. A lot.
We both used to have to, but for some reason, the way you really wore that apron, Marty,
Oh, man.
the way you rocked that thing, it just, so much of my association with you, when I picture you, you're in your Howard's uniform with your apron, and the way you strode around that place, like you owned it.
I really did. I got so used to having like a pocket on my front. I'd be just like wearing normal clothes, and I'd be like, I just want my box cutter, and it's not in my pocket. I just like reach down and try and find my front pocket. My apron.
So Ragman, how did you get it
did
so
you know?
right?
No. It's like, are you secretly watching us, all one of our friends?
So Ragman, you totally nailed us. Martin should wear an apron, and my head is an oblique pentagon.
And if that's not enough, when they've sent this through, they said, it's a work in progress. I was like, okay. So it was pretty clear there was a couch that needed to be still added to the drawing and this sort of thing.
Is it still secret? Like, can people see this? Because
No,
we're
it's out
talking
there.
about it a lot.
It's out there.
Okay. Where, like, have we mentioned where? Was I not listening when you said where you can see it?
Yes.
It's on Twitter. So
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Phew.
So
I was just thinking about how accurate the picture was, and I was not listening to anything else.
So if you frequent the Bluey Twitter, as we said, you've probably seen this picture of what has been described as the ultimate Bluey podcast, with us on one couch, and then on the other side, our good friends Mary Bolling and Kate McMahon, and then on another couch
Mike and
next to
Greg.
them, Mike and Greg, the two banders watching Bluey. And oh my
From
God.
all the way in the US of A.
Oh, and there with the headphones, there's a microphone in the middle of this little coffee table, and the response that got from all over the Blueyverse was quite ridiculous. And we just have to say, you've kind of called us out. We kind of have to make this crossover happen. I won't say we weren't thinking it, but now we're actively pursuing it.
It would be the biggest technological hurdle we've hit so far, but I'm not... it has to happen now after Ragman's efforts.
I mean, you're talking like 7 voices on a podcast where we all talk about the same thing.
Yeah.
From a
And
just
Brendan's
purely,
there.
Woo!
I walked right into that by being me.
It's it's gonna be a challenge, but I think it's one we're up for, to be completely honest. So yes, thank you very much, Ragman. Thank you to everyone who has written in.
Yeah, let's not
leave it so long next time.
Let's not leave it so long next time. But I can't stress enough how that made my day, Ragman. Like, it's perfect and it's awesome, and just to be seen on a couch with the likes of Gotta Be Done and Two Bandits Watching Bluey, I just thought, are we part of the big three?
That blew my mind too,
If that's the
right?
big three,
What?
I'm so
What?
honoured by being considered in that realm,
Yeah.
that. So thank you very much.
Amazing. So should we talk about Bluey, the show now?
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea. Often we do that, and we'll pick an episode, and this episode being Postman.
Yep.
And then the first thing we do is we like to have a little recap, if you will.
Oh, I thought we banned that one.
We did, rightly so. But Frank, do you want to throw it to our friend over there?
Marty, would you care to take us through the bare bones of this episode?
Okay. I got a very short one today.
Oh,
This is a very clear homage to the life and times of Brendan Williams as a postie, having to get around so many things as he does.
Of course.
Thank
lava
you.
waterfalls
Mhm.
and such.
It's a perilous job.
It's good to have some recognition.
This squabbling. This is an episode in which Bluey walks in and Mum and Dad are having a discussion, a heated discussion about the bin. She thinks that she needs to heal this sort of situation, so she sets up a postal route between the two. But at the same time, she's also trying to satisfy Bingo, who wanted to play Flora's Lava. So in reality, this episode is called, and I should have pinged it in before. It's like, this episode is called Postman and Grounds Lava.
Yeah.
Because it's about
Yep.
compromises, people. It's about,
Yes.
So yeah, that's what we got today.
I think only the second episode to sort of revisit the title card and
Sure.
scrub it out and change it. Anyone know what the other one is?
I do know what it is, but I've forgotten.
That's unfortunate.
Can I still get the points? Are there points?
There are no points. This episode of Bluey is now called Knits. That's what it gets changed
yes.
to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the first
The
episode,
hairdressers.
there you go.
There it is.
Mm.
I demand those points. I demand there be points, and I get them.
You didn't
without
play much
deserving
sport
them.
as a kid, did you, Brendan?
I played no sport.
Well, let's go back to, as Marty said, this is one of the few times where we see Bandit and Chili having a legit argument.
Having a
I think.
squabble.
Like it is a squabble. You know, there's frowny faces and sort of terse, I won't say language, but just, you know, stern pronunciation of words and that sort of thing. And you sort of sit there and go, if Bluey hadn't interrupted, I was like, this could have gotten out of hand. Ended with, you know, Chili eventually going, we'll talk about this later, storming off. Bandit with the response that we've all been there, and just goes, yeah, can't wait. Like,
And
I
that's
was like,
just
"Ooh."
before the first title card, isn't it?
Yeah, I was
Just,
like,
yeah,
you're
can't
playing
wait.
with fire.
That's a great Bandit line.
Okay. All right. Whose side are you on?
I can see both sides of that argument. I bin bags are a pain, but who wants to clean a bin every time? Like,
So hang on, I got to say, you're talking about a bin with no liner in it. Is that what this discussion's
I think
about?
That might be
No,
what
I think it's like the bin was inside the cupboard, but now it's been attached to the door.
Oh,
So
right.
instead of
Yeah.
just taking the bin outside,
Gotcha.
Okay, so he's not saying get rid of the bin bags completely.
no, I
saying
presume
the
not.
Just
bin-
use
bin
them,
just
but
used to
carry them in the vessel to the
Yes,
thing, and
yes,
then
yes,
remove
yes.
them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the thing.
I got to say, our bin is very similar to what the Healer household has now, where it's actually the frame is attached to the inside of a cupboard. It's not attached to the back of a door, but it's still, you can't just pull it out. And yeah, the bin bags sometimes they get caught as you're pulling them out, or depending on what's in the bin, it's ripped it, and you could potentially have leaks depending on what's sort of been put in there. Oh, that's a tough one.
How do you find it being on the thing that comes out though, rather than opening and having to throw it into a cupboard and sometimes missing and getting it on I feel like you're saving a lot of the cleaning for
Around
the
the
for the
bin?
bottom of the cupboard. Like I feel like it's a cleaner solution if it's on the wall. So I can see.
Well, it's not
Chili's-
actually, ours in particular is not mounted to the door. So you still get open a cupboard door, and then it's this thing that stands up, and you then slide it out. Think like a drawer in a wardrobe.
So I was
thing.
looking for just a couple of second response here, guys. Not a.
Well, here's one. I think I'm on Chili's side because I'm sorry, Bandit, But give it a few weeks. I think you'll love the convenience of having it up and out of the way and on the door and room in the cupboard. I think you'll come around.
I think I'm with Chili because, like, you know, if the only thing you have to touch is the bin bag, that's fine. That'll just go up. But if you're having to haul around the bin every time, it matters if it gets dirty. So it's kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Here's the solution. Go into Howard's Storage World and get yourself a bin that's attached. You can have it on runners. It can be on one of those little rigs where as you pull the door out, it kind of swings out at you and the lid opens. And not only is there a bin bag in there, they certainly did. Headache also really, yes. I love that you remember that, man. I worked there for a lot longer after you left. But it has an actual insert in there. So that's the best of both worlds because you can put the bin bag in the insert and Bandit, you can take the insert out and you've still got this solid vessel to bring it out and then remove this. So, you know, there are solutions.
Great question, Marty.
Really quick answers.
Really concise.
I also just have to say I love the cupboard under the sink. It's the perfect cupboard under the sink. It's got like
where you can fly spray.
And it's got a can of fly spray and it's got like, you know, a water spray bottle and then just something else. And you're not entirely sure what that something else is. And I think that's pretty much the under the sink cupboard. There's kind of a bag or something back there that you've forgotten about. Yeah.
And just like under sink cupboards, it's best not to ask what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Best not to wonder. Oh man, there's so much going on in both stories. Like, I think this is heralded as one of the first episodes or the only episode with like two stories kind of going on at the same time. But both of them are really exciting and relatable. Like, you can see that Bluey's genuinely concerned that her parents are squabbling, but also forgotten about Bingo. Like, the opening is really sweet because Bluey's just eating. And then Bingo comes in and says, "Oh, can we play Grounds Lava?" It's like, yeah. And also, just kudos to Bluey, who just says, "Oh, yeah, I can play that. I'll just take my plate back into the kitchen."
What kid does that? It's
well
a
done,
lie.
Bluey.
It's
well
a lie.
Done. Well
it doesn't
done.
happen.
You phrased right. But then in that, like, in the kitchen, that's when it all goes down. Yeah. She gets home and she's like, "Oh, we need to organize this postal thing. Here's your letterbox. Here's your letterbox." And then Bingo's in exactly the same place, waiting.
So bored. She's got that sort of like, "Oh my God, I'm just staring at the ceiling because nothing is happening."
Yeah. Leading to possibly my favorite little exchange of the episode. I think Bingo says, "Oh, Bluey, you're always saying you'll play with me, and then you don't." And she said, "No, I don't." And Bingo says, "Yes, you don't." And then, wait, no. And then they realize they're squabbling. And there's a really sweet story. And then everything that happens with the Grounds Lava trying to get the mail, and then the games kind of form together. They have to get the mail, but they have to.
It's like a Guy Ritchie movie, right?
Yeah.
You've got all these storylines that don't seem like they're connected. Where was that in your bare bones PS, Marty? That just comes together right at the end for a satisfying conclusion. There was a point early on when they start doing the Grounds Lava where it just looks effortless for the girls. Like they're having this squabble.
Oh,
and
this
discussion,
isn't their first rodeo.
And they're just like flipping over furniture. They're pushing off walls on the bike, and they're just still without even looking at what they're doing. And I'm just like, you guys have done this before. It's very impressive to see.
Yeah, we can't forget all the little things that they do that are awesome, like the balance bike, which is an awesome little prop, by the way. That balance bike, like you see those around with that little checker design, the awesome like art design, and a shout out to things that actually exist. There's that, and the book, whenever they're throwing the books out in front of them to step on, like making their own things, and then the skirting board and the squabble to decide whether the steps should be ground or like a lava waterfall. Or, I love thinking about how they came up with all the different things. Like you just get a whiteboard and brainstorm all the things that would make a cool Grounds Lava thing. Like I particularly like when Bingo's on that cube.
Yes.
And just sort of like side to side.
Oh,
it's very Zelda-esque or something, isn't it? Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe this is me looking too far into it, but she's on a rug that's quite. It's sort of like almost that you see it a lot in like Breaking Bad because it's set in New Mexico. There's that kind of almost Central American design, that sort of Aztec, angular sort of thing. So it kind of looks like a pixelated background for this, X and Y thing happening. It struck me as that. I don't know if that's intentional, but I just thought, it's like a video game. Like you can't turn, you have to go beep, beep, pop, pop. It's like Chip's Challenge.
I love the moment where they're standing on the one book. Now, either that's a really large book, or those kids are much smaller. The sense of scale seems a bit out
I think they're
to
just
me.
really good at collaborating. They're just really good at being in tune with one another.
And then to be able to open that book while both of them are standing on it, and yes, there is squabbling involved, no doubt. But I just love that. And there's that moment where they're literally hugging each other so they can stay on this book. And then, oh no, we're squabbling. And it's just a double inhale where they both go and put their hands on their mouth. And then it's like, what do we do? Because we can't agree on everything. And it's just this, you can imagine being the parents looking through the window, watching what they're doing and going, what are these two doing?
Yeah.
Standing on a book, hugging, squabbling, and then just coming to this self-actualization moment. Like it's...
Yeah, it is a great episode for the kids learning this lesson by themselves, and they're their own discovery in this one.
Because it goes through every iteration, really, doesn't it? It's like,
yes,
you have to agree with everything I say. Okay, let's just agree with our own sort of things. All right, let's
how about we I agree with me and you agree with you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
It's not like Bluey to change the rules of the game to suit her, is it?
and there's a great when Bingo's kind of cheeky when they're on the skirting board just about to get on the stairs.
Yeah.
And she says, well, I don't know. Like you have to agree with everything I say. Well, I don't, Oh, hey. Because she's less bothered by the squabbling than Bluey, so she knows what buttons to press. And she's like, hey, we're squabbling. That's a great vocal take for that. And I do love that they work through it together and they almost discover the importance of working through these things. Like if you're running from confrontation and actually working through something for the sake of saving the squabble, like if that's your reason for not doing it, then you're not really working through something.
Yep.
And so I love that point that you talked about, Frank, when they're standing on the book, they start squabbling, but it's kind of like because they've discovered they had that moment like, oh, that was a fun squabble, or that was a fun like that squabble was fun. Like when they got that catharsis of having worked through something together, then when they're squabbling about how to make the paper plane, they're laughing like, oh, we're still squabbling.
I did fold it that way.
And they're laughing and oh man, it's one of those ones where the vocal takes from the kids are so good. Oh, to be a fly on the wall in the studio when these kids are in front of the microphones. My gosh.
I love the, rowing your way across on the lava boat.
Oh, boy, like a gondola.
That vacuum cleaner is never going to work
and
again.
Then I love they get to the edge and it's, oh no, we can't get over the thing. Because it's like, it doesn't matter, it's some skirting or whatever it is. But it's perfect. Like, what would you say? I could see potentially Joe going like, oh, what should I?
What should we?
They would probably just call it a thing.
They would just say a thing. Yeah.
So
and I love, I love when they. Oh, maybe we should just agree about everything. Yeah, I mean, if only it were that easy. And then it cuts to them. They get onto the vacuum cleaner. Like, oh, that was great. We should agree about everything. Yeah, we should. And then it cuts to them rowing it, and they're just going, oh, this is the only way to sail across lava. Wouldn't you agree? Yes, I would agree. It's so funny.
Now, how good are you guys at paper planes? Because I'll tell you what, the girls are better than all of us.
Yeah, they
the
are.
way that, like, I consider myself pretty good at making a paper plane.
Make one now?
No, leave the comic books alone. No.
You don't have a printer?
A what?
One. I've got a good design of one, and I feel like it might be one of those things where if you go back to it as an adult, you're like, oh, it was easy. I was just a kid who couldn't do it properly. Like playing video games. I'm actually okay at it now. Never was before. I thought, oh, maybe I was just a...
Oh, that's not what me and your brother thought, but anyway. No, so what I'm referring to is more the amazing journey this plane takes when they launch it and it goes up There's a big loop-de-loop. It looks like it's going over the back fence. Oh, no, Dad's going to fall in love with neighbour Wendy.
Who's there doing a Kegel exercise?
Yes. Classic Wendy.
I love her speaker, set up is just like from the 90s or whatever.
Oh, boy.
90s.
Yeah.
It's slotting in the top, but yeah. Thank goodness for Brother Wind, who blows
Thank
it
you,
back
Brother
over
Wind.
the fence.
Brother Wind gets a shout-out in another episode.
Yeah, it's
I
a
believe.
real Steiner school thing, that Waldorf schooling.
righto.
The song that Calypso, and we can talk about this.
right.
Yes, we can. Nice.
Brother Wind comes blowing in.
That's
to
the
welcome
one.
home
Yeah.
the gnome. It's I think that's an actual song that they sing
Right.
at Steiner schools.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But thank goodness it's there to get the message to Mum.
Exactly where they need to go after
yeah.
doing a,
That's right.
a loop-de-loop crazy.
The music during that plane flight as well. It's just the orchestration is just delightful and energetic, and you're on that flight with that plane.
Also, one more question, Brendan.
Oh.
Is it illegal to read someone's mail? Because Bluey broke law, I'm pretty sure.
Oh boy, you're not supposed to do that.
My favorite line, one of my favorite lines is the one directly before that. Yeah, but I do love you, Mum. Yes, put it in the letter.
Don't tell me.
Yes, her matter-of-fact way of introducing Bandit to what he has to do now with the mail. It just brings here are your letter-writing things. I'm the postman.
Who do I send it to? Well, Mum's the only other one with the post box. So.
Cheeky. Oh, I love heart. Hey! No, I do my darndest while I'm sorting the mail not to even read postcards. And of course, the writing's right there.
Yeah.
But of course, I'm the local postie in like a relatively rural area. So I get a lot of postcards. I have had in the past postcards and I'm like, don't read it. It's not for you. But there has been in a different color writing just, hi, Brendan. Because whoever was on holiday knew that I would be sorting it and they put a little extra hello for me.
Thanks, Brother Brendan.
That has happened more than once.
Wow.
I'm that kind of postman.
It's almost as good as when your mum sends packages and like the instructions are, can you just bring it home with you, Brendan, or something that.
Yeah, that's the favorite parcel I've ever delivered. Maybe I should post that, but it was coffee. It was from Nespresso because Mum had an espresso machine, and I took a photo of the delivery instructions, and it said signature required. Brendan, you can sign for your mum on an official Australia Post e-parcel sticker.
And she would have been like reading that out to the guy, and he's like, "Are you sure about this?"
Brendan, you can sign for your mum. I love my mum. Mum listens. Actually, I love you, Mum. She's the best.
Oh, now has anyone actually played Grounds Lava?
Oh yeah,
yeah, as
100%.
a kid.
Oh, that's why I thought it was very apt, Martin, that you said this is the life and times of Brendan Williams, because it is the two parts of my life. Now as an adult, I deliver the mail, and as a kid, I was Indiana Jones in some kind of temple where I had to leap from thing to thing. So it's all about me this episode. How are you guys doing?
It's kind of irrelevant, really, isn't it? It's all about you.
I don't know if I've ever played that one because it has a lot of links a lot back to Shadowlands.
Yeah,
because it's the
Variations
especially
on the
when
thing.
they're doing the is it not with the staircase.
Yeah,
it's like
sure.
Trying to play with the rules around that.
Yeah.
So it's got reflections of that. I'm not sure if I ever played it. It was kind of hard in our house. There wasn't too many things to climb from. It was kind of like
It was very much a recess school thing.
Glass top tables aren't really great for
Oh,
protecting you from lava.
I wouldn't imagine so.
But that was always the thing, like when you'd be able to, before you actually start the game and yes, the floor is activated, you could strategically position some of the dining room chairs and stuff around so you could bounce from, spot to spot and get where you were going.
Which I was so glad you said that because it reminded me of an episode that I would have been very disappointed if I didn't bring it up in this episode. When they go into the room and Bluey's just like, oh, good thing we left all our stuff all over the floor.
Yes.
That's such a Bluey line, and it makes me think of another one from another episode that I won't mention because I don't think we've done that yet. But Bluey, the ever optimistic, is ever optimistic about the things that she does that she probably shouldn't be doing, like leaving her toys around, but she's always seeing the positives. See,
it
Mum and
worked
Dad?
out for us.
You don't know what you're talking about.
So, Brendan,
Yeah.
as a veteran postie, would it be fair to say that this episode has delivered?
I would say it was express delivery
Oof.
with, could have been registered mail.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, it might have just been, authority to leave if unattended.
Brendan, you can sign for your mum.
No, it delivered. It delivered 7 days a week, rain, hail, or shine, which is not what I do. Rain, hail, or shine, yes, but no, I'm taking my weekends off. But speaking of, clocking off and knocking off. And
It's about that time.
It's about that time. Thank you so much again for the people that we mentioned at the start of the episode who were lovely enough to reach out. That's awesome. I love that I'm doing a thing that people reach out for.
Yeah.
I feel so professional. I always love those parts of the podcast I listen to. And yeah, thank you so much.
People like what we do.
People
Imagine
like what we
that.
do. And we thought it appropriate to do the Postman episode because, we got to check our letterbox from time to time.
Is that
Post
different
office
from-
box or inbox.
Inbox.
I love them all. I think they're all as good as each other.
I agree.
Yeah, read
They're
in that-
all as
read
good
into
as
that
each
what you will.
other.
They're all as good as each other. And listeners, I think you're all as good as each other, which is way better than my puns. And I just hope that you guys feel free to reach out on that email address.
What is it, Brendan?
It's hammerbarnproject@gmail.com.
There you go.
And I don't think that Josh is about to say it, but listen and we'll see. If he doesn't, maybe we should get him to redo it. But speaking of redoing, let's redo this all again on the next episode. Thanks, Frank.
Thanks, Brenny.
Thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Frank.
Yes!
Perfect.
Oh, IL 300.
Left at the fake grass.
If you hit a flamingo, you're going too far.
Created and produced by Frank, Brendan, and Marty. You can follow the Hammerbarn Project on facebook.com/HammerbarnProj, @HammerbarnProj on Twitter, or Hammerbarn_project on Instagram. Theme featuring Nibblings, Kaylee, Jade, Ashley, and Ree, and PA announcements by brother-in-law, me, Josh. Thanks for listening, and remember to get down to Hammerbarn for cheap shovels.
What is it? Hammerbarn.
Hammerbarnproject@gmail.com.
I don't know if it's in there.